Hi, welcome to Cloud Technologies. This is second video of JSON Logger tutorial. So if you are visiting our channel for the first time, please subscribe, share and like our videos. And if you missed our first video of this series where we have explained everything like how to install the JSON Logger into your Exchange and how you can get that JSON Logger component into your Anypoint Studio, we explained everything step by step. So just please visit that video before you are going through this video. Okay, so let's get started. In this video we will see like how we can utilize this JSON logger, how we can configure it, and how we can play around with it. Okay, so I'll just remove this default logger for now. Let's see how to configure this JSON logger. In our previous video, if you remember, we can just drag and drop the JSON logger from the palette to this studio. Okay, just rename it. Let's see how we can configure it. Okay, so it's just a JSON logger, and I'll just change the display name. So you need to just configure the module configuration first. Just click here. By default, this JSON logger component will need these three details like the logger application name and application version and environment, which environment you are going to deploy this project. So we need to provide these three property values, three property names with the same name in our property files. Okay, so for now I'll just give this as a env, or you can just give in the same way like mule.env. Okay, so you need to provide this I mean these three properties into your property file first. So this, yes, this is the new project. I don't have any property file, so I will create the property files also from scratch for your better understanding. So yeah, these are the three properties, and these are the remaining features which we are going to see one by one later in this video, like how we can play around with these fields, how we can utilize these different features to meet your requirement in order to mask the fields and disable the fields, everything. Okay, we will see these later. Just let's create different properties files, and we can just have the property values over there with the same configuration. Just click on OK. We have done only module configuration by clicking on this plus icon. Okay, so let's create the properties file in a soon, very soon, in the next 5 minutes. So before that, let's see what are the different other configurations we are going to do for this JSON logger. So this is the message field where you can just provide the message like how you are going to utilize this log, like what is the message you need to see in your logger. Okay, so I can say like this is my first logger, or flow started, something like this. Okay, by default, I mean by mistake function is getting clicked, so you can say like this flow started, you can just say in that way. This is a message, you can give any message here. Okay, okay, so I have given module configuration, and I have given this flow started. Just you no need to change anything here, because see, by default it will add everything to simplify, I mean stringify non-json. If you are passing any json any non-json payload, it will convert that into a json payload and it will display you as a content. So that is the use of this field. So here you can see trace point. You will have multiple options here, start, end, and after request, before request. This is just for your tracking purpose. So if you are placing this JSON logger at the starting of your flow, you can just select the start by default. If you are placing this JSON logger in any of, I mean in any place in the middle of the flow, like after any external request or after any data transformation done by the transform message, or before sending the request to any external link, like for example, like if you are invoking any other REST API or any other web service API, before sending actual request to that API, you are going to, I mean, you would like to log the message, log the content the payload which you are going to send. So in that purpose, you can select these tracing point based on your requirement, where you are going to use this JSON logger in your flow. Based on that, you can just select the options here, because this will be very easy for you to track the loggers. If you are sending this logger to any Splunk or any other external logging systems or normal cloudhub logs, you can search with this keyword easily. So that is the purpose of this trace point. Okay, as I'm using this starting point, I'll just select the start by default. And the priority, you might have already known about this error, debug, and info trace. What are the priority you are going to use? So by default, it is info. Category also you can mention if you want. These two are just like similar to the normal logger component. So I didn't go into details. Okay. So let's save it. And let's create the different properties file. In order to create the properties file, you need to just create new files under this src main resources. Just right click here. Okay, 1 second. Just right click here and click on new and a new file. In the normal way, you are going to create the normal YAML property files or normal dot properties file. Anything you want, you can create dot properties file or dot YAML files. Anything is fine. Okay. So for easy access, I am just creating a dot properties file. Okay. You can utilize, you can create YAML files also, or you can utilize it. Anything is fine. Okay. So just create new file. Here I'm going to give dev file first. I'm going to create different environments. Okay. So let me give properties. Properties hyphen dev dot properties. Because this is dot properties file, so you can give any YAML files also, as we discussed. I have just given the name like properties dev, or else you can give values dev, anything, because if you don't want to confuse with the properties file extension and all, this is actually with your choice. You can give any name. So let me give values hyphen dev dot properties, just to differentiate that. Okay. Okay, let's click on finish. This is a dev properties file. In the similar way, we can create QA. Just for our understanding, I will just create only two files. I don't want to waste time here because this is not our main topic. So I'll just copy the same file. And we can just rename the file like .qa. Okay, I think it's taking time. I'll just stop the video and I'll resume it once the file is getting created. Then I'll explain the details. Yeah, so we have created two different files with values hyphen dev, values hyphen qa dot properties file. Okay. So, but there is no values here as of now. We need to copy what are the required properties here in this logger. To do that, you can just go to this configuration XML. Okay, yeah, that's okay. It is showing only mule.env. Okay, let's go back to this configuration here itself. Just click on edit and copy this property name. Paste it in the two properties files. So likewise, you need to copy all the three properties from this connector configuration to the actual properties file. You can give values for these three properties file. Okay, I'll pause the video. I'll enter the values to save time. Then I'll resume the video. So I have added these three properties here in my two different properties file. And in general, in your real-time project will have already properties file, already different properties file. So you no need to change that. Just for your understanding purpose, I have created new files and showing you. If you already have any project there, you are going to use this JSON logger, then you can just copy paste these three properties files into your existing properties files. Okay, it may be dot properties files or dot YAML file. You can just copy or provide the values for these three properties. That's the main thing. So you no need to create new file. So for now I have created these two files and I have given two different values. And to in order to invoke this properties file, we need to create one global configuration to configure properties file. If you are not fresher, you will know this step by default. So if this is for fresher purpose, I am explaining it step by step. Okay, so just click on configuration properties. See here, you can select the log properties file if you have only single file. As I am having different files, different environment files, I need to provide the value dynamically. Okay, so that is why I will give the name like values. This is the file name hyphen. Till now the file name is common. You need to provide the environment name differently by using dynamically. So in order to do that, you need to provide dollar and yeah, flavor braces. There you need to provide mule.env and close flavor dot properties. So this is the properties file. Dynamically you can configure. Okay, this mule.env file value dev or QA you can pass it while running your code. So just click OK. So that's it. We are done with the basic configuration. And so in order to invoke this flow, let's have a HTTP listener. Let's configure this just to invoke this flow to test this flow. Okay, just and in order to test this by using Postman, you can just make this flow as a post request. So that will be easy for you to send a payload instead of doing any other component. As this is just a demo app, this is demo flow. You can just have a sample payload. I have taken the sample payload from Google itself, Google only. So it's see, this is the different JSON file and this is different XML file. Let's see how the JSON logger will behave for different payload, for the XML payload and JSON payload later in this video. So for now, let's play around with this JSON example. This example have user ID, first name, last name, phone number and email address. Only these three fields for different users. Okay, so we can just take this JSON payload as sample. So in order to test this payload, it's better you can take this HTTP listener into like a post payload. So you can just configure it as a post request. You can directly send the payload through Postman instead of sending by using data view or some other component. Okay, so let's configure this HTTP listener. You can just have it default values, no problem. Just 8081 is default port, and here you can see you can provide it as JSON. Okay, so JSON 8081. So this is the thing. Okay, and yeah, in order to make this request as post, just go to advanced allowed methods. Here you can give post. You can give post. So if you configure this, it will take the request as post request, and it will take the payload from your postman itself directly. Okay, so that's it. Let's try to deploy this application and let's see how it behaves. So as of now, I didn't change anything of JSON logger default behavior. Let's see what are the different features one by one once this is getting deployed, and we will see what by default JSON logger will give you the log information. Then we will just modify and see one by one. Okay, so just deploy it. So wait. So yeah, I'll just stop it because we have given the configuration file dynamically, right? We need to pass that configuration file value here while running your application. But by default, I clicked on run application. I'll just stop it. I'll show you how you can send that detail. So instead of run application directly, you can select run configurations and here arguments. Um, or else in environment you can give. Let's give in arguments -d. It will treat as property file -d and your your property file name mule.env. Or else you can have only one property file. You can just give it directly. Okay. So now you have given property file mule.env name as a dev. So it will take the dev property file and will execute. So just click on apply and run. I'll stop the video and I'll resume it once it is getting deployed. Yes, so it is deployed. I'll show you. Yeah, my application is getting deployed. So let's test this application once with the default JSON logger feature. So in order to do that, I need to create one request like HTTP localhost 8081 and /JSON, which is my path. And this is a post request. I need to send the body here as a payload. So just click on body and select raw. As we are going to send JSON, let's test the JSON payload first. This is the sample JSON payload which I have. So I need to select this JSON payload and here select a post and under body select a raw, select the JSON, provide your JSON payload here, paste it here. Okay, so that's it. Let's just send one request and let's see how the logger will behave. Don't expect any payload here because we didn't configure any payload, so it will just throw you what you have sent here. So just don't concentrate here, just concentrate on logger message. See, this is, I'll just maximize it. So this is the log message which we have received by using JSON logger. Okay, so this is the message which we have given. This flow is started. Okay, and this is the correlation ID. So once you use the JSON logger, um, once your JSON logger is getting printed, it will show you the different details like this correlation ID and message which you have given in your JSON logger message box, and trace point which you have selected here, it is start, and the priority is info, and this is the location information. This is a very important information. It will show you where this logger is there, what is at what line your logger is there into your file, and component name JSON logger, obviously file name, in which XML file you will see this logger, JSON demo.xml file. See if you can see, this is your file name and the line number is 15, it is showing. So this is the one, so line number 15. So you will have lot of log information here, and application name which is devapp, which you have given here in your properties file. See, application name is devapp because we are sending environment as dev. So environment is dev, application name and version number, these three it will get this from the property file, and the actual payload which you have given, that it will display under the content, and it will show you the timestamp information as well. So instead of, you didn't write anything here in the logger, you didn't configure anything in logger, but it will show you lot many information about your log message. Okay, so this is the this flow started. Okay, this is the message which you have given here. So likewise you will utilize this logger in many ways. Okay, so see, this is the actual content of payload, it is showing here. Okay, so this is by default your JSON logger will display for you. It has lot of many information to track your flow, like by using correlation id or by using location information or by using trace point, anything you want to. If you can track your log messages, it will be very easy for you by using JSON logger instead of using default logger. And let's see a couple of more features how we can utilize it in more effective way. Let me clear this. So let's go to this module configuration and let's see what these features will give you. See here, log location info, it is true by default. If you observe earlier in our log information, it will show you the location information, like what is the file name, which line this logger is there, and what is the app name, everything. So if you don't want to display that details, you can just select it as false. By default it will be true. So I just select false. Let's observe the difference. Okay, and then parse content fields in JSON output. This, if you have any other type of different payload, it will be useful for you. For now, just ignore it. Just let's see this disabled fields. See, disabled fields. Which field you are going to disable? Like which field you don't want to display. Location info, if you don't want to display, you can just select it false. If you want to disable any other fields other than the location info, you can just type it manually here by separating with comma. So in our log message we have message, content, anything, right? So if you don't want to print the payload at all, if you don't want to print the content payload at all, you can just write content here. It will hide the content. CON. If you can give your content field name here, it will disable the content field and it will disable the location information. Let's click OK. Let's test it. Let's deploy it, test it once. Think, yeah. Let me stop and redeploy the application. Usually it should redeploy by default, but that's okay. Okay. So environment is there, or else let's okay, we disable the location, right? So anyway, let's take QA here. Let's test it this time. Let's test with the QA property file. Okay, I'll wait. I'll pause the video till my application is getting deployed, then I'll resume it. Yeah, it is getting deployed. Now let's test it. Let's see how logger behaves. Okay, so I'm sending the same request. Let's go back to our studio and let's see how the log message is now. Yeah. See it now, the log message is very small. It doesn't have location information and it doesn't have content information. Content means the actual payload. The payload is not there here because we disabled that field content, and location information is also not there. Earlier it has thrown the location information like the which line number, which file name, everything. Now it is not there because we selected false for the location info. So likewise you can hide the fields or you can disable the fields. Okay, and see here we have selected a QA properties file right now. So now the environment details is related to QA app. So this is how you can hide the values of logger. Or one more thing we can see, you can see one more thing like how to mask the properties. I mean how to mask the values. Like for example, see, let's go back to our JSON logger and let's remove this field. It means we didn't have any disabled field, so it will display the content, which means it will display the payload. And let's select a true for this, which it will display the location info as well. So now we will see how to mask the payload, any specific fields of the payload. If you want to mask, if you want to hide, how we can do that. So for example, here this is our JSON payload, right? So if you don't want to display your phone number, you just wanted to display your phone number like star star star, you don't want to display any sensitive information of your payload like social security number or any other card number, any phone number, any email id, any contact information, any ph1 information, any pi information, like that. If you don't want to display anything in your logger but you want to log the payload, if that is your requirement, then what you have to do, you need to just mask that fields. So how we can achieve this? Like just copy the field name. If you want to mask the phone number, just copy that field name. Go back here. Here in this JSON logger. I didn't save that earlier. So here under this content fields data masking, what you have to do, you need to say like a dollar. I'll show you here. So dollar dot dot and just paste that field name. So dollar dot dot phone number. So it will mask all the phone numbers of my payload. So it won't display the phone number information. So if you don't want to display first name also, you can just use in the same way dollar dot dot, but you need to separate it with comma. Let's mask two fields this time. Let's see dollar dot dot, and you can just paste that file, the field name. So now what is the expectation is we don't want to see first name and phone number values, but instead of that we need to mask that value. So let's save it and let's redeploy the application. We will see how it will behave. So now redeploying it, I'll just stop it. I'll redeploy and I'll pause the video once it is deployed. I'll just resume it. So I'm just deploying it again, and it has one more interesting feature, that is like you can send this log information to any other external queues. Like we can send any JMS queues or ActiveMQ. If you want to send this login information like JMS queue, AMQ, or any point MQ, anything, if you want to do that, you can just achieve with this JSON. If instead of sending with instead of sending to Slack or ELK, sometimes you will have a requirement like you need to send all the log messages to any queuing mechanism like any point MQ or JMS queue. So that is also possible with this JSON logger with a small different configuration. I'll show you that as well, maybe in this video or in the next video. Okay, let's wait. This application is going to deploy and then I'll resume the video. So now it is deployed. Let's test our application. It is taking much time this time. Okay, let's go back to our studio and let's see. No, the request is not yet processed. Yeah, see, yeah, you can just maximize it. See, now let's observe the log message. So this time correlation ID is there, message is there, and the location information is also there because we selected true, and the content is also there because we didn't display any, you didn't disable any fields. So this time, if you can observe, phone number is not getting displayed. For the first time when we tested this logger, it will display all the content. Now this time phone number is not getting displayed, and we have masked another field also, which is first name. So this is also not getting displayed. This is also masked. So likewise, you can utilize this JSON logger in different ways in order to play around with your log message and in order to get much information about your logger based on your requirement, which will be very easy to handle and which will be very easy to configure to get much information about your flow log messages instead of using default logger. Okay, I hope this video will help you, and in our next video we will see how we can send this log message to the destination queues like AMQ or any point MQ or JMS in queue. So yeah, this is for this video. I hope you like this video. Please subscribe, share, and like our videos and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.